I'm okay with Zach Pickens and Josh Vann and where they were slotted on these preseason All SEC teams. But I do have an issue with where Jaheim Bell and Cam Smith are slotted. So I'll start off with Jaheim Bell. Again, Jaheim Bell was a third team All SEC selection behind Cameron Latu of Alabama, who was a second team All SEC selection. So to start off this conversation, let's compare the stats real quick. In 2021, Jaheim Bell in 12 games had 30 catches for 497 total receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, and averaged 16.6 yards per reception. This was considering the fact that there was 4 different starting quarterbacks this past season, him being one of only 2 guys that had more than 222 receiving yards, meaning that pretty much it was him and Josh Vann, and not a whole lot of other guys stepped up as legitimate receiving threats. And he was the second most targeted receiver on the team to go along with the amount of receiving yards compared to the rest of the guys in the receiving room. Now, Cameron Latu of Alabama had some similar stats to Jaheim Bell, but had a couple more games than Jaheim to reach his stats. Latu in 14 games had 26 catches, 410 receiving yards, 87 less than Jaheim Bell, 8 receiving touchdowns, 3 more than Bell, and averaged 15.8 yards per catch. Now, compare Cameron Latu's situation with Jaheim Bell's situation in both respective offenses. Cameron Latu had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who was throwing the football. And Latu had the 5th most targets out of all the receiving threats on Alabama's roster. There was plenty of guys in front of him who really and truthfully made it a lot easier for him to be able to get open. Guys like, of course, Jamison Williams, John Mechie II, and a couple of others as well. Ajay Hall, JoJo Earl, you name it. So when you look at both Cameron Latu and Jaheim Bell, while the stats can be listed as being pretty similar to one another, Jaheim Bell did everything he did last year despite the adverse circumstances that the offense dealt with. So imagine him having Spencer Rattler now throwing the ball to him. The offensive line blocks better, meaning that the quarterback has more time to be able to get the ball out. And Jaheim Bell will have the advantage of having more guys on the outside who are going to make defenses have to respect them. Guys like Antoine Wells, Corey Rucker, Dacaron Joyner has another year of experience at receiver. Landon Sampson's brought in out of high school. Amari Brown has another year in the system. You name it. Jaheim Bell is going to have a lot more one-on-one opportunities. And when you add in my opinion, the overall athletic advantage and route running advantage that Jaheim Bell holds over Cameron Latu, who is a little bit stockier at tight end, I think that overall, Jaheim Bell's going to finish with much better stats than Cameron Latu this next season. And I think that at least he'll finish second team All SEC. And of course, it could be an interesting battle between him and Brock Bowers to see who could be first team All SEC at tight end. Now, let's move on to Cam Smith. Cam Smith, again, was a second team All SEC selection behind guys like Kelly Ringo of Georgia and Eli Ricks of LSU. Now, I'm going to compare him to both of these guys specifically, as I do believe Jordan Battle and Jalen Catalon are both pretty reasonable picks for first-team All-SEC. So in 2021, Cam Smith played 11 games. He had 41 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, and 11 passes defended. Pretty solid stat line overall. Now you compare this to Kelly Ringo, who played in 3 more games than Cam Smith. Ringo had 34 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 2 INTs, 1 touchdown, which obviously was in the national championship game, and 8 passes defended. So not too far off from Cam Smith, but again, he had 3 more games than Cam Smith in order to be able to reach his stat line. So honestly, from a statistical standpoint alone, I think that Cam Smith matches up pretty well from a resume standpoint versus Kelly Ringo. And then you look at Eli Ricks. Now, Eli Ricks, to be fair to him, played in only 6 games last year, and this was because he dealt with a variety of injuries from what I can recall from the 2021 season. Ricks had 11 tackles, a half tackle for loss, 1 interception, and 1 pass defended. But my argument for Ricks not being first team would be he was hurt last year. I understand he plays now for Alabama, and it's very clear, like Cameron Latu, he's probably getting a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt because of the logo on his jersey, and he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. But Ricks was battered and bruised this past season and wasn't able to play anywhere near as many games as Cam Smith. And even the games he did play, whether he was playing hurt or not, and I cannot admittedly say whether or not he was playing hurt, his stat line still isn't very good for the 6 games that he did play. So I definitely think that Cam Smith could have been put on the first team All-SEC team above Eli Ricks and potentially maybe even above Kelly Ringo. So 2 different spots where I feel like Cam Smith could have definitely slid in as a first team All-SEC defensive back.